What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be replacing the stock bumper for the 1968 Mustang. I'm going to be replacing it because it has a huge dent on one side, and on a previous video I was trying to replace the taillights to LED taillights, and because it was so messed up I had to completely stop filming because I couldn't continue with the install of the LED taillights. So the bumper that I got is just a direct replacement for the stock bumper. I'm not sure if there's any aftermarket bumpers, but I like the way it looks stock. Since it's an old car, I might as well put some original parts. Let's get to the unboxing of the rear bumper and then I'll install it afterwards. So here we go. Alright, so this part is hefty as well. It is definitely an old school part because it is pure metal. So here is the rear bumper, and let's get to installing it now. This is what I meant by the huge dent in the rear bumper. I think one of the previous owners may have backed into something and left this huge dent in it. And because of this huge dent, it kind of deformed the rear bumper in this portion. And the problem with that was when I was trying to install the back taillights, the bezels, it was almost impossible to take them out. I only took them out because I knew I was getting new parts, and I'll show you the old parts right now. So if you look at the old parts right now, you can see this part's broken, and because of that, might as well replace it with new ones. So let's get to the install of the rear bumper. To take off the rear bumper, I'm going to be using a 5/8 socket with an extension and a breaker bar. I know I'm going to have to use the breaker bar because all the nuts were painted over, and it's always tough to take out nuts that have been painted over. So here we go. So they're located right here and right here. So I'm going to take off this side first. Alright. Okay, it wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. So that's set. Now for the other side. Okay, that was actually a lot easier than I thought it'd be. Okay, so now we're going to take out the bolts. Alright, that's what's holding the bumper in place. Alright, so this side is completely loose. Now I'm going to take out the other side and I'll show you guys what it looks like on the interior of the bumper. Alright, so I just took off the bumper, and looking at it, it has a bracket that's not included with the new bumper. I'm probably going to have to take this out and reuse it on the new bumper, but I did buy some extra cover bolts. So I'm going to use the new cover bolts and then probably reuse just this bracket. It also has the lighting for the rear license plate, and I'm probably going to reuse that as well. So let's get to taking all these pieces off and installing them on the new bumper. Here's a side-by-side comparison of the new rear bumper and the old one that I had on the car. I'm going to be taking off the brackets, which are on both sides. They're held in by two 11/18 nuts, and I'm going to replace those with the new nuts and bolts that I bought. This part is also going to be transferred to the new bumper. So no sockets will go inside of this little space. I'm glad I had these wrenches. So 11/18. Alright, the bumper brackets are completely out. This one is a bit simpler. All you're going to be using is a Phillips head screwdriver. Alright, that's pretty much it. Now we can discard this old dented up bumper. There's a bit of rust on here, so I'm going to be grinding it off and hopefully clean it up a little bit. Now I'm going to start off by installing the easiest portion, It is the license plate lights. Alright, simple as that. Now I'm going to install the brackets. So this is the new set that I bought, and it should help with the rust. I ended up putting this on a vice grip and then grinding down some of the rust. It's always nice having new hardware. This goes like this, and then it's gonna go in. So like this. Alright. So I'm not going to tighten it all the way yet. I'm going to put it on the other side as well, just so it doesn't get stuck or anything. Okay, I'm not going to tighten it all the way yet. I think that this washer makes it so that you're not tightening the bracket completely. I think the way to do it is just enough so that the nut is turned enough to see the bolt itself. You can see one thread of each, so I'm going to leave it like that, and it seems like this is the perfect torque. Alright guys, so I'm going to be installing this by myself just to show you guys that you are able to do this by yourself. It is going to be a little bit of a struggle, but here we go. Okay, so I'm going to use my knee as a support. Then I'm going to start bolting these in. Okay, so it wasn't too bad. I'm still using my knee as a support. I threaded one of the bolts in just to get it in place. Alright, and the next one. Alright, so now that these two bolts are in place, I'm going to do the other side just to keep the bumper in place. Okay, looks like that bolt's in place. Now for the last one. So as you guys can see, all of the bolts are able to be seen, and that means that all I have to do now is tighten up all the bolts. While I'm tightening the nuts, I'm going to be holding the bumper in place with my knee. This way it makes it so that you can install this just by yourself. Alright guys, the bumper is fully installed and it looks a lot nicer because that dent in the previous one, that completely threw the look of the car off. The rear bumper is finally installed and I think it looks awesome. Take a look guys. Look at that, that is so sweet. The one that I had on before had that huge dent right here, and yeah, look at that fitment. This is how it should be. The next thing that I'm going to be doing for the Mustang is fixing the wheel studs. The last time I showed you guys, it only had 3 of the 5 remaining studs on one of the wheels, and that's completely not safe. I'm going to be fixing that so that I could finally maybe take the Mustang on the road, and with little things like the bumper being installed, it is getting one step closer to being able to drive on the road and safely. So don't forget to give me a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Later!